Alright dude, step 4 of 4 has come to get the 35s properly fit on my Tacoma. And I don't have anything, like I don't have the kit yet. Since I don't have the kit and I don't have the template, I'm gonna grab some blue tape and I'm gonna stretch a line and kind of make my own template running all the way around the fenders on both sides. I'm gonna cut them, and in this video you guys are gonna be able to see the actual C4 fabrication high clearance fender liners. And then just for the giggles, I'm gonna go ahead and take the stickers that I get from them and throw them over top of my previous cuts and see how close I got. If I'm not close enough, maybe I'll trim them a little bit more, maybe not, we'll see. I trimmed up the plastic as you saw, and then I trimmed the metal that was underneath. It's not amazing, but I don't claim to be really good at this, obviously. So it's a little bit uneven in spots, and I still have to do a little bit more sanding just to kind of like clean up this edge right here. And then I went through and I ran a bead of paint over the exposed metal, and I messed up hard right there, which is really upsetting, but I'm gonna have to live with it now. But yeah, I ran a bead of paint on the exposed metal just to make sure that it doesn't rust. This side came out better than the first. It's still a little bit rough on the edges. I still have some sanding to do if I care about it. It doesn't really look that bad, but if you back up, it looks a lot better. It's very, very open. And actually what I'd like to do, the same stuff that I ran right here along the bumper, it's like this metal gasket type of material. I'd like to run that along the inside of the fender if I can. So I don't know if that's something I can just buy. Oh man, I hope that the screen wasn't blurry from the amount of dust and stuff that was all over it. So there's the cuts. Now time for the C4 fabrications kit. For me, probably gonna be a few months, but for you, it's gonna happen like this. Y'all, I am ecstatic. It's a little dark, sorry, because I got my ND8 filter on right now. I need to get a higher ND filter, like a 32. For those of you that don't know about that, it makes the footage more like cinematic and stuff when you're out and around. I am super stoked for this one because I've been waiting 2 months since I ordered this for it to, it was on back order. Yeah, today's the final day, the final step in my upgrade to 35-inch tires. Finally, I can have, hopefully, shouldn't say finally, hopefully, a little bit less road noise in the cab from the 35s. Hopefully, a little bit less mud in the engine bay when I'm driving through puddles and all that sort of stuff. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, you know what it is from the title, but we're gonna go ahead and do a quick unboxing. I've already opened the box technically, but I haven't looked at it yet. So, I have, from C4 Fabrication, also their packaging is fantastic, I'm just saying. Like, these things are made out of aluminum, so I'm sure they're pretty easy to get like bent and stuff, but having this like spray foam that shapes itself once you put it in the box is pretty awesome. But anyways, I have gaskets, a lot of them. Oh, this is different than what I was expecting. Oh, this is really nice. I have paper, a roll of it. This is actually stickers. And then I have hardware. And then I have my fender liners. Oh boy, these things look sick. These are the C4 Fabrication high clearance fender liners. So basically, they replaced the ones that I had and that I ripped out in a previous video when I was installing my 35s in order to allow me to run 35s and not have to deal with all the things that I was talking about in the beginning. Man, these look really, really good. In the kit, you got the fender liners, you got a thank you note, sorry, an inventory list, a whole bunch of styrofoam, and then like I mentioned, you got the hardware for Let me just scratch it up day one. The hardware for installing it, a whole bunch of rubber a gasket material, which you'll see how that works in a second. And then something that you don't really see a lot. I'm gonna sit down because this hurts. Something that you don't really see a lot is people that put like a sound deadening inside of their Fender liners. So I wanted to experiment a little bit because I don't really know if that's gonna add or whatever. It can't subtract from how loud, quiet, whatever. It can't make the sound worse. I did a little bit of Googling and I ended up going with this like butyl-based or rubber-based sound deadening. And this is from a company called Silas or Silas. I don't know how to pronounce that. But it says sound deadening and thermal shield. So technically this is like a heat thing too, which I don't care about. I only care about the sound. First, we're gonna go for a drive in the Tacoma and we're gonna see just kind of how it sounds right now so that you guys can get an immediate side-by-side comparison today of the sound. Obviously, if you've been following the channel, I've got plenty of sound clips inside of the cab. It's really loud, but we'll see what happens. Oh, almost died there. All right. Yes, beep at me, senpai. Oh man, I need to clean you, Sasha. If you guys missed some of the other videos on the channel, the last couple of trips that I took, sorry, actually those videos aren't out yet, and they're not going to be because this one's coming out before them. Anyways, look forward to the future. All of this dust came from somewhere, and it was a good time, so hang out, subscribe, or something. Sweet, let's go for a drive, and I'm going to kind of jump between mics, because it's really interesting to hear the sound difference between the Rode microphone and the Media Mod on the Hero 8, because there is quite the difference. So it's not bad, it's just not great. Now the Tacoma was never amazing at its loudness inside of the cab. I will say it was, when factory on street tires, it was quieter than my 2008 Mazda. So between 2008 and 2017, definitely, and obviously Toyota versus Mazda, definitely made some leaps in the sound deadening inside of the car. But it definitely wasn't perfect. It's not a luxury car, you know, it's a Toyota. But yeah, so let's go ahead and hop into the install, and I am super curious to see how the sound is gonna be following the install, and if hopefully there's a difference, I don't know. So naturally the first step of any project is to clean. It's probably a useless thing to do, if I'm being completely honest, but I want to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the foam. This is what is behind that factory Fender liner, and I think it's there for sound deadening to absorb a little bit of the noise coming from the tires, probably. We're not going to need this anymore, so I'm going to throw that over there. And I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down really good. So just to show you guys, I've been on 2 off-roading trips that caused me to do some actual flexing action with these 35s on, and I'll show you where I've been rubbing. So for those of you that don't know, maybe this is your first video or you're just looking at the C4 kit, I did a body mount chop, which on this side I have no issues, no rubbing or anything like that on the body mount chop. I hammered, ooh, there's some water there. Hammered down the pinch weld running along here. You can see the couple little rust spots that are poking through that I need to repaint. But I hammered that down to give me a little bit of clearance, so I have no rubbing there. And then on the upper control arm, You can't actually see it at the moment because I cleaned the truck, but I'm rubbing just a little bit right there. And then specifically on the passenger side, I am rubbing on my shock tower, or the remote reservoir for my Elka shocks, right here. It's very mild, it's not that bad. But on both the driver and the passenger side, and I can show you the driver's side, I rub here on the frame, where the frame kind of bends together. You've got your lower control arm right there. And then I just noticed this, I am rubbing up here. So I've got a spot of rubbage right there, and a spot of rubbage right there, and a spot of rubbage right there. And then obviously this little pinch weld action is kind of getting bent up. So I probably should hammer this out of the way. We're gonna hop over to the driver's side real quick. So on the driver's side, once again, can't see it too well, but there's a little bit of rubbage right there, which there's not much I can do about that on the frame. But I'm also getting, you can see the glare kind of change. Right here, my tire is rubbing at full lock on the turn. And then there was nothing on the upper control arm, nothing on the remote reservoir, which is kind of weird to me that it's not perfectly equal on both sides, but whatever. And then the same thing as the passenger side. I have it rubbing here and here, but this time, well, I guess there's a smidgen right there. And then right here as well, whenever I'm turned in and stuffed. So that's pretty interesting. Some of those, like the upper control arm rubbing and the frame, that can be solved if I had a negative offset on my rims, or if I had spacers. Anyways, that's where you rub with 35s on a Toyota Tacoma that you've already done all those modifications to. So the first step, basically we're gonna be prepping the fender liners themselves. So we have this roll of gasket material, and basically this is gonna be pressing between the liner and the inside of your quarter panel. So your quarter panel is this right here. So it's got these little rubber teeth in here that are gonna grip onto the aluminum. So you're gonna press the aluminum, this onto the fender liner through that groove right there. And then this, a little squishy end that will create like a sealing surface. So next up, we're gonna bust into this bag of hardware. Ooh, we got a C4 fab sticker. Dope. So the next step, we're gonna go ahead and take our C4 badges, which these are obviously optional. You don't have to put these on if you don't want to. They're really lightweight though, and they're cool. And I paid for them, so I'm gonna use them. But yeah, we're gonna take our C4 badges and we're gonna screw them in. I'll show you where. These two holes right here. So this is the inside of the fender liner. That way you can see it. So when you put it on, people will be able to know that it's C4 fabrication that you gave your entire paycheck to for this project. Hi, it's me from later in the video. When you're installing the little C4 tabs, you're using the tiny washer, not the medium washer. I didn't even know these were in the bag, and now I do, so I'm gonna replace them, and they fit a lot better. But there you have it, a little C4 badge. It's cool. So we're gonna do this to the other side, just because I do things side by side. Okay, so next up, since I'm on the passenger side, I've got these two plates that are labeled P for passenger, and I've got a 12mm wrench. So this one is gonna be going on the bottom of the door mount, and this one is gonna be going on the top. So for this bottom mount, this one right here, it's got this little cutout, so it's going to be resting basically within the bolt that's holding the door in place. So we can remove, or we can loosen the top bolt, but we don't have to remove it because we don't have to thread it all the way back through. So this, we've got two brackets, two brackets holding the door on, like the passenger side door. The bottom bracket, top bolt, is the one that we're going to be removing. So we've got our 12mm, take a little bit of effort, not really, and then we'll move it, back it off just enough that we can slide this mounting bracket in place. Basically this bottom portion right here is gonna rest on the lower bolt, just kind of like resting against it. So you don't have to loosen the lower one, it just rests against it. According to C4, if you lower this bracket until it touches the bottom bolt and then lift it back out about 1/8 of an inch, that's about where it needs to be. or you can get it relatively snug, and then once you get your fenders actually installed, then you'll be able to see more where you need it to be. The only problem is you have a fender in the way, so it's kind of hard to tighten this bolt. This bolt's never had torque broken on it since the factory, so that's mildly misaligned. All right, we're going to install this P passenger, and you want that slope to be following the shape of the quarter panel. Now this hole is really big, which will allow for some movement, which is good, because when you install the panel, you may have to adjust this bracket a little bit in order to make it actually fit where it's supposed to. So I'm kind of doing both sides simultaneously here, as I'm learning from the other. And I wanted to show you that these brackets do not line up the way that they're supposed to. Now maybe my body is tweaked, maybe I'm not pushing the panels in far enough. Either way, they're not lining up properly. So what I did is I took a little piece of wood from like a painter's stick, and I shoved it underneath the bracket so I could tighten it up, but it would force it to be angled up just a little bit. And that's just enough in order for the bolt hole to line up. Awesome. So with those brackets in, we're going to go ahead and test fit our fender liner. And the brackets are going to line up with these two holes right here. Granted, these holes are a little bit elongated, so it's not that big of a deal. Oh, and interestingly enough, that hole right there, I'm going to need for this. Cool. I have a snorkel in here, if you can't see that, and I have a mounting bracket for my snorkel. So I'm going to have to undo that in order to fit this. That's unfortunate. All right, hold up. So the other thing, I pulled out the hardware that we're going to need to screw this in place. It's going to be the long one, that's skinny. So it's the thin screw but long. It's going to be a lock washer, a flat washer, and yeah. And then I think it's a 3/16. I did not film my 280 point turn coming back from the store, specifically Lowe's, because I don't know where my 5mm is. Never wear shorts, only shorts when you're riding a motorcycle. Bad, don't do that. Don't be like me, be better than me. Now, finally, we can get in on this thing. I just got that bolt taken out, or that, yeah, bolt. I will say that the kit includes another bolt that goes in that place, and it's not going to work because I have a rib nut there. So if you have a snorkel, you're going to have to use this. If you don't have a snorkel, then you're going to run the weird looking bolt. Hold up. Holy son of a gun. That sucked. A lot. Anyways, so I did finish getting that screw entirely in, as I just said in the previous clip that I got it in, or something. Maybe I didn't say that. I don't know. But for those of you that are not running a snorkel, I finally laid out the rest of the hardware here. So I believe it's this bolt right here, and it's the one of these, this one right here, which is a smaller threaded nut, and then of course your standard flat washer. I think you throw a flat washer on each side, because that's what C4 has you do on the driver's side, so I assume it's the same on the passenger. And now the bolt hole that you're going through, once again, that bracket kind of sticks up right here, which is, if you're looking in the engine bay, sorry about all the noise, I don't know if you can really see it, but that rib nut right there, that is where the bolt is going to come out. That hole is barely large enough for you to force the threads of the bolt through, which is dumb. I don't know why C4 didn't just use a smaller bolt for that. I have no idea, but whatever. I guess they're using what they have. In the instructions, they don't have you drill that hole out, but it's a pain in the ass. So I drilled it out on the driver's side so that I could actually get it in there, because the fender liner, I could not push it back far enough to really make it fit in that hole. The fitment has not really been the easiest thing today, which is kind of upsetting. So now that we finally have the room to do it, some of this. muck out of here, we're going to go ahead and rest our fender liner. I'm going to have to kind of work it in a little bit. So the next step, like I was saying, we're going to be taking the skinny screws that are a little bit longer, block washer, flat washer, and then we put them into those two brackets that we installed earlier. I will say, and it might just be because my truck is, look at the frame's bent. I honestly have no idea. But that top one did not align at all. Before I get too much further, now that I know that those brackets work and everything fits for the most part inside of the fender liner, I'm gonna go ahead and cut up a little bit of that sound deadening and put it inside of that liner, just kind of within the border, whatever you want to call it, that like rubbery gasket type stuff. And I'm just gonna rest it all in there and put it all back in place. The deadening's in place, and then you're supposed to use this like rolling tool in order to like squish this down and really make it stick well. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to use a socket and see how well that works. As with anything, this would be a lot easier with the proper tool. And maybe a chair. I don't have like a shop chair for my garage. So instead, I'm sitting on the floor, or kneeling on the floor, or laying on the floor. Well, I do everything myself. And with a little bit of muscle and a 23 millimeter or 27 millimeter, I think it was 27 millimeter socket, you can have some sound deadening on your things. Sweet. So let's go ahead and get these put in. Obviously, we're still working on the passenger side. So I'm going to go ahead and get the main plate thrown in, and then I'll tell you what I'll do.
Place where we can go and be.
So because of my snorkel, these extra threads that are sticking out of the top of the rib nut are way too long, and they start hitting things that are in there. So I'm gonna cut them off. So it turns out, I'm gonna put you over here. Sorry for touching you. You can indeed fit the spacer back in here if you have an UpTake snorkel and fit the bolt in. It's just a severe pain in the butt. I will show you as well, because I don't have to do this on the passenger side. You guys might, but I don't. The passenger side, you just run a singular bolt, the larger ones. This one's for the driver's side because you're going to be using a spacer. I don't really know the purpose of that, but I didn't design the things. So it'll be one of these larger bolt on the driver's side with this kind of locking nut thing. I forget what you call those. And then this little plastic spacer. And then that mounting point in here, that little extra tab that sticks up, you're going to go ahead and put that spacer between the tab and the body of the car. And then you'll see it lines up with a screw hole. Whoop. Whoop, now I'm dropping my spacer. We can finally do this one right here. And so we're gonna grab another one of our tall, skinny button heads. We're gonna grab this as well, which is a small but bigger button head, along with the same smaller nut that goes on that one, and then a flat washer on both sides. So I'm going to set these here for now. We have our bracket, and it's going to mount right here. And so we're going to thread the skinny one button head into there through the bracket, and then poke the other one through here, and I'll show you where that comes out. The other thing that C4 doesn't say is that this button head bolt, the bigger one, requires a different sized Allen key. So those ones were like 3/16, and this one is like 5/16, which is kind of annoying. But, oh well, it is what it is. So, getting in on this side, you can see where that bolt is coming out right there. kind of. It's a little dark in here. That same spot on the driver's side is where the other one's gonna go, obviously, for the driver's side. So it's right here. That one isn't difficult to get through. As you see, I have a extra switch panel thing going on right here. This is my Switch Pros and the power tray. So that took a little bit of effort to stick my hand down in there and get everything to line up. Now, doing this one on the driver's side, this bracket, really freaking difficult. Because of my power tray, I can't just reach in from that side. And because of my electrical setup on my battery, I can't take this stupid fuse cover off without removing my battery leads. So I had to take my battery leads off, remove the fuse cover, and that gave me the room to get down in there, and you can't see it because it's really blocked by a whole bunch of wires. But trust me and feel around with your fingers, that's where the other hole came out. Oh my God, I wasn't expecting those 2 bolts to take me like, I don't know, an hour to do, but it did, which is kind of disheartening because it was not portrayed that would take an hour. Maybe I just suck, I don't know. But either way, they're in, well, all except for this last one. I'm gonna put this last one in, and then we're gonna move on to putting the last piece in for the fender liners. As I already kind of did, it is. That plate right here, I already threw in just because I was messing with my Snorkel. I really need this to work. Dude, Allen keys are the worst, you know? They're so difficult to work with. Also, I cross-threaded the shit out of this one, and I tried fixing it, and then it just kept cross-threading because, once again, the fitment wasn't working right. And as I told you, I had to put a shim in there to get it to angle correctly so I could even get the bolt in. So I don't know, I assume I'm the problem. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it has to be something because that's not working very well, which sucks. Anyways, so yeah, we move on to this plate. We loosely get those screws in so that this plate, it should be able to wobble. Mine doesn't because it's being pressed into the Snorkel right now. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab the front plate and install it through these threads and short bolts. Like I said, I cut mine, as you saw. It's because of the Snorkel. You guys shouldn't have to do that. And then we'll adjust the fitment and make sure that it's fit in there correctly, and then we'll tighten the bolts down. Well, with those in and tightened down, and it does look really good, if I do say so myself. Next is going to be finishing off with this last mounting place right here. So we do have to drill a couple of holes. I'll get you that drill bit size here in just a minute. But we're gonna go ahead and drill these 2 holes out, and then we're gonna be using these 4. So well, these 2, and then 2 will go for the other side. So you'll have your bolt, and then you'll have put your flat washer, and then your nut. I like how this is magnetic all of a sudden. It's wild. Basically, pick your spot for the holes. It's a 3/8 inch drill bit. I'm going to go inside of the indentations that are in here just because that's going to make it easier to align my drill bit. No matter how confident you are, always start with a pilot hole. Not to just continuously complain or anything like that, because like this is a legitimately awesome product and it's the only one on the market, but quality control is a little interesting. It's also kind of frustrating that the bolt sizes and stuff are not consistent. Not like they're all the same size. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that some bolts are metric and some bolts are imperial, which is annoying when you're going through some stuff trying to figure out exactly what bolt or nut that you need to, or what socket size or something that you need in order to make the things happen. So, because I didn't say it, that would be a 14 millimeter. However, a 9/16 also technically works. And only 60% more miserable today. The new fender liners are indeed in the car. They look really good. I do like the way that they look, although I wish that the process was a little bit smoother. But can't always get what we want. Isn't that right? I don't know who sang that song. Somebody did. Drop a comment down below who sang that song. Okay, round 2 of driving. Once again, I will probably be doing both the Hero 8. There we go. Both the Hero 8 and the Media Mod sound, as well as the Rode mic sound, because there is a definite difference between it. Obviously, when I'm talking, I'll be using the Rode mic. Well, maybe. I don't know. You'll see. You'll see however I do my editing magic and I make it work. It very well could be a placebo, but I think that actually made a difference in sound. It's not a long sound clip, but it is an effective one. Wanted to show y'all the decibel reading for how loud it is inside of the cab. Obviously you can hear it through the GoPro, but the GoPro is going to be doing a whole lot of filtering to remove a lot of sound. So even though the GoPro is picking up a lot of that ambient like noise, road noise from the tires, it doesn't do it as much justice because your ears, your human ears, are a lot better at picking up sound than the GoPro is. So let's bring it up to 35, and then I'll pop it in cruise control, turn off my fans, and then we're just gonna let it happen. It's me from a few days later. I've been driving around with the fender liners installed in the truck for, I don't know, about 3 days now, give or take. I do not believe that there is a noticeable difference with the sound inside of the cab in regards to it being quieter, but I will say that the sound pitch has changed inside of the cab. I know you can really hear that in the video clips that we just watched. There's kind of like the certain tones are a little bit more filtered out within the cab because it was the same camera and the same mic that was recording for both of those. Obviously it was on a different day, so like, I don't know, barometric pressure or something maybe has something to do with sound. I have no idea. I'm not that scientific. I don't care. But the point is that I do notice a change in the pitch within the truck. So like a lot of those tones kind of do get filtered out coming from in front of the car, and I hear more of the back of the car. If you guys are wanting to do this, the fender liners are there in order to prevent splash and stuff from getting inside of your engine and to make your truck look a little bit more complete. I was just hoping that adding that sound deadening material would give a relatively noticeable difference in sound within the cab. Obviously, using the little crappy iPhone app decibel reader, there was no difference between the two, but using a industrial grade, like something that's actually meant to gather sound that isn't an iPhone speaker, may show minute differences in the pitch and all that sort of stuff. So there you have it. New day, new shirt, and if you guys have made it this far, then I can either assume that you're incredibly curious on my craftsmanship, or you're just enjoying the video. So hopefully both. We'll see. In a previous episode, or previous whatever, when I was putting the 35s, I had to do the fender trim as I was telling you about, and I eyeballed the crap out of it. I came out here with a grease pen, a grease marker, I drew a line, and then I cut it. It doesn't look that great, but it works because I don't have any rubbing anywhere in the fender area. But with this kit comes these lovely jubbly vinyl pieces that we can roll out. Oh, and it comes with a decal. Oh, patent pending. That's funny. Okay. But you can take these vinyl pieces and you can run them onto your fender like flare, and that is the line that you follow for your cutting. So I was going to throw them on there and kind of see how close I was. Like this. Don't be like this. Come on, wind. Honestly, not too bad. A little bit excessive on the curves in the front, or on the top, and then I didn't trim enough, according to the template, on the back. But honestly, like I said, I'm not rubbing in those areas. So I may want to trim it back more just because of lining it up with the fender liner a little bit more so you could see it better. It's not as tucked in. But yeah, I did a pretty good job. So it was a bit more aggressive on this side. And once again, didn't end up trimming as much on the back end there, which would probably let me see a bit more of the fender liner. But like I said, I'm not rubbing there, so I'm really not going to worry about it. I was just curious to see how close I got the cuts. Well, there you have it, dudes and dudettes. Those are the high clearance fender liners from C4 Fabrication. I'm really happy with them. Like I said, I'm a little upset with the difficulty of install. It took a lot longer than I thought, and I had a lot more hiccups kind of throughout it than I thought I was going to have, which is unfortunate. But all in all, I mean, they do look good, and now I have fender liners when I didn't before. And like I said, C4 is the only company, I believe, on the market right now that does something like that for 3rd gen Tacomas. So we'll see how they perform over time. We'll see how well they keep mud out. There's still the gap all along the inside, which is, I was going to throw a little bit of that rubber gasketing that's in there, but because of the divots and that kind of stuff, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make that fit. But that might be something I do in the future, as well as getting rid of the rib nut in that one spot that got kind of messed up and redoing that one because I cross-threaded the shit out of it. But oh well. Had it lined up the way it was supposed to, then I wouldn't have cross-threaded it. Just saying. So it was really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. That is the final portion or part to my installing 35-inch tires on the 3rd gen Tacoma. So, well, kind of. Next is a re-gear, but I don't know. That's going to be a while. That's like a lot of money and a lot of time. So for now, if you guys have enjoyed and you like seeing this kind of stuff, you want to see more progress on the build, check out the other things that I've done on it. The playlist that this is in is going to have all the rest of them. And if you missed any of the other parts on installing 35s on your Toyota Tacoma, then go ahead and check those out as well, because, well, it's quite a bit of work. It's quite a bit of work. It's not like a Jeep where you can just lift it and then slap 35s underneath. So anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you on the next upgrade video. Don't forget to live from dusk till dawn. See you guys.